Hey everybody, my name is Cassandra Solano. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of California and a conscious relationship coach. And I want to talk today about why setting boundaries with family can be so hard. So I'm laughing right now because this is something that I still struggle with. I always say when it comes to doing work with our family of origin, our immediate family, we're like returning to the scene of the crime, so to speak. And it's often the hardest for us to implement our healthy communication skills, implementing boundaries, doing the things that maybe we can practice in therapy or have been doing with our friends or even our romantic relationships. But when it comes to family, it can be really, really challenging. And that is for a couple reasons. First, there is, kind of our pattern, how we're wired. We have these neural pathways that have been formed in our brain to respond in a certain way for a really long time, especially with our family of origin. So if you grew up in a home that wasn't safe, that was toxic, that was dysfunctional, you may have the pattern or the wiring that when things get stressful or when you feel overwhelmed, to go into a fight, flight, or freeze response as a way that you've learned to adapt. And now it may not even be that you are actually in a threatening situation, but your wiring is kind of already set up in a certain way that it just happens so quickly, often automatically without us noticing it. And when we start to become aware, oh my gosh, I'm in these responses. I get really reactive. I get really snappy. Or maybe I freeze and I shut down, or I don't speak my truth. Or in my case, something I do, and I just did it like a week ago, is fawn, is to go, oh, okay, that sounds like a great idea. And like just kind of from this disassociative, disconnected, automatic response place. And I hadn't even really thought through what I was agreeing to. And luckily, my husband was standing there next to me and was like, hold on, slow down. Like, wait a second, I need some clarification here. Because I almost made like a huge financial commitment to a family member, like without even thinking about it. So, I just am sharing a little bit of my personal experience here to say that, when you're on your healing journey, I have been recovering from PTSD for 15 years, that sometimes we are caught off guard. Sometimes we're tired. Sometimes it comes from a person that we didn't expect it to come from, which was my situation last week. And those old neuro pathways just fire off in the brain, and we kind of respond in an old way. So I want to just say that to say, like, let's be compassionate with ourselves. And even if we like say yes when we really meant to say no, or we lose our temper or get reactive or get defensive, that we can always like go back and apologize or say, I know I committed to this, but after thinking about it, like, I really can't do that. And we can always kind of like step it back, okay? The second reason why it's really hard to set boundaries with family is because, just again, from an evolutionary perspective, like, we have survived as a species from staying connected to our community, to our families, to our villages, our tribes, our people. And you were much more likely to not survive out in the wilderness all alone versus if you were out hunting or gathering with your people. So we know that there's safety in numbers. And sometimes when we're setting boundaries with family, it's like, I am literally gonna rupture or put at risk this connection, like my core sense of safety and belonging, and be just me alone in the wilderness, me alone in the world, especially with all the things happening in 2020. No, thank you. And so we may want to set boundaries with family, especially like right now, it's the holiday season. And it might be challenging to stand up and say, no, I'm not comfortable with this situation. I'm not comfortable getting together, whatever it might be. So there's just a lot of reasons why it's hard to set boundaries with family. It's all about how we are designed and wired to survive. Um, you know, pre-industrial primitive times. And unfortunately, our nervous systems have not developed and evolved as fast as kind of the modernization of society. And we're still kind of stuck with this wiring for now. So in understanding how we're wired and like why we do the things we do, we can start to hopefully feel a little bit empowered and more compassionate towards ourselves to say, okay, like, this is why I'm doing this right now, and let me like walk it back. Or, okay, this is like my tendency in this situation to get defensive or to fawn. So let me like get some support around that. And that's the last point I want to make, is that having support can be so important. I know some of you aren't as fortunate enough to have maybe a husband or a partner like I do that was like right there maybe in that moment to catch you in a moment that you're fawning and like have your back or pull you out of it. And in my life, I haven't always had that. Certainly not in my first marriage. I did not have that. That marriage was emotionally abusive and just reinforced these patterns. And so for me, having support, a coach, a therapist, a spiritual mentor or advisor has always been so essential in my 15 years of my healing journey, especially as I have had to set these hard boundaries or take steps back from my family or do things differently than how my family has always done them, because it's been a lonely road quite often. It's been a road less traveled. And there are people out there that want to give you guidance, support, whether it's a free self-help group, a church group, a coach, so you don't have to do it alone. Like you can find your Gandalf, like your guide. Like we all need that. I still have that in my life. Actually, I have 2 people right now that are providing me that support, and there's nothing wrong with that, because we need to feel safe to set boundaries. We need to feel safe to go at it alone or to break the mold or to set, kind of travel that, that new trail and do things differently than maybe what's always been done or maybe how we've always done things. So here's to breaking cycles of intergenerational trauma. Yay. Not easy. It doesn't always feel good, but it's not impossible. All right. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you later. Bye.